Here's what's in the news now.
Welcome back into Channel 14 to 13 News at 4. I apologize. Today's testimony in the Delphi murders trial has focused on Richard Allen's mental state at the time of his alleged confessions.
And this is the first time we're seeing a full day of witnesses take the stand for the defense. Our 13 News legal expert, Katie Jackson-Lindsay, is back here with us. Katie's a local defense attorney and former deputy prosecutor. So, Katie, the defense today tried to get the jury to watch videos of the living conditions for Allen inside the prison, and the judge denied it for now. She could allow them to go back in if they can confirm that the time frame of those videos was the same time that he allegedly made those confessions. But what impact might those videos have on the jury if they're allowed to see it?
It would really give the jury some context, right? The state's position is that he was of complete sound mind when he made those alleged confessions. The defense's position is that he was mentally unstable. So if the jury was able to, in part because of his living conditions. So if the jury was able to see those living conditions, they could really have a full picture and draw their own conclusions. So based on that, you would think that either party would want them to have that full picture and be able to see those living conditions and whether or not it may have impacted his mental state at the time.
And they also brought in an expert today, specifically the director of mental health for the prisons, and she was saying that he was mentally unwell. It seems like that kind of might just layer on top of what the jury is seeing. Is that correct? What impact will it have?
I would agree, and we're already able to see a little bit of the impact that it's having on the jury based on the questions that the jury is asking. Those jury questions are the best way to get into the jury's mind and see where they're going. And they asked questions of the doctor about whether or not she could determine if he were faking and what things she would look at to determine whether he was faking. She asked them about how other mentally ill people may have been kept in the prison and what some of the normal conditions would be for that. So I think the impact that it's having is that they're considering whether or not it would have affected the statements that he was making, and they're keeping an open mind, and that's what we expected the jury to do. So they're doing their job, essentially.
Since the state has rested, they have the burden of proof here. And I know that the defense has really only been presenting its case for, a day and a quarter maybe. What's the scorecard? Is there a way to score at this point?
I think if there were a scorecard in jury trials, we'd have to say the state is winning at this point. They ended their case with Richard Allen saying that he's guilty of these heinous crimes. And so that's really hard to overcome. But on the other hand, what we see the defense doing is exactly what we would expect. They're defending against those allegations out the gate. They're attacking his mental state out the gate, and they're attacking the consistency of his statements versus what the actual evidence is with those civilian witnesses. And so without a doubt, the state has the upper hand at this point because he's confessing. But the defense is really on the defense, and I think we'll see more.
Okay. All right. This is our legal expert, Katie Jackson-Lindsay. She's our 13 News legal expert. We will continue to stay with you. She will continue to stay with us as we go through the Delphi murders trial and analyze that. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And traffic around Indianapolis is already picking up.
Yeah, this is night one of Taylor Swift weekend, so heavy traffic, of course, inbound downtown. You're looking live at Lucas Oil Stadium. The gates there are about to open in about 10 minutes.
Oh, look at everyone with their friendship bracelets. All right, let's zoom out a little bit here and get a check of traffic. Here's a look at I-65 at West Street. This is near downtown. And we know that there are many changes to traffic this weekend for the influx of people here for Taylor Swift. Lindsay Monroe walks us through all the road closures and detours. Let's check this out.
Well, it is a big weekend, a lot of visitors here in downtown Indy, and if your plans take you down to one of the 3 Taylor Swift shows, you need to know a couple of roads that could potentially be impacted or closed around Lucas Oil Stadium. First, though, I want to start with some key locations. This is going to be where folks get dropped off or perhaps picked up after the show is over. The drop-off location, so this is pre-show, set to be on McCarty Street. So that's Lucas Oil Stadium, the south parking lot. So that's pre-show. Post-show, as far as rideshare pickups, one will be located at South Street and West Street, so just north of Lucas Oil Stadium, and another one just east. That's going to be located in the parking lot at South Street and Delaware Street. That will be the rideshare pickup, as well as where parents can get their kids picked up as well. So as far as closures go, there's going to be a couple longer term closures that will run from November 1st through the 3rd. That will include Monument Circle closing on the 1st 1st at 11 a.m. through 9 p.m., 2nd and 3rd as well as this stretch of South Street that will run between Missouri and Capitol Avenue. That's going to be closed all 3 days between 10 o'clock in the morning until after the show ends at 1 o'clock early in the morning. So to go along with that, there's going to be a lot of road closures during that post-show time frame. That includes a lot of local city streets. This extends all the way as far north as Washington Street and as far south as those I-70 on and off ramps. So most of the roads on the south side of downtown will close at 11 p.m. That will run through 1 o'clock in the morning as traffic starts to leave the area. Also, there are several posted exit routes. If you're traveling north, south, east, or west, there will be ways that you will see traffic flowing. That will be your best way to get out of downtown. Also, something to note, the I-70 ramps at West Street as well as Meridian Street into downtown, they will be blocked off after the show is over between 11 o'clock in the evening and 1 o'clock in the morning. Again, these closures are going to continue for the duration of the weekend, running November 1st through the 3rd.
We are just days away from Election Day, and as the final campaigns intensify, so do concerns about misinformation all over the internet. And with the use of AI, artificial intelligence, it's becoming extremely difficult to identify what is and what is not real. Ryan Nobles has more on the problem.
It has the potential to be the biggest threat to the peaceful transfer of power. A flood of false information about the election shared on the internet. Already in Pennsylvania, a viral video claimed to show illegal harvesting of ballots in Northampton County. It was actually just a postal worker delivering ballots to the elections office. Former President Trump has been without evidence, alleging fraud in the key state of Pennsylvania, where polls are tied. Officials there reassuring the public.
Nonpartisan election officials are doing their jobs across Pennsylvania, and they're working very hard to ensure we have free, fair, safe, and secure elections.
Earlier this month, the FBI believes a group of Russian actors built a faked video that made it look like Trump mail-in ballots were getting destroyed. In 2020, the internet was filled with inaccurate claims about the Arizona vote counting process. In 2024, Secretary of State Adrian Fontes has created a deep fake video of himself to demonstrate that the internet can't always be trusted. His team is also showing voters how their process works to prevent the spread of conspiracy theories.
I think the bad guys want us to disbelieve one another.
The Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency has warned that foreign adversaries are amplifying the false videos and claims, but says so far they've seen no evidence they've hacked into election infrastructure. Tom Costello spoke to the agency's director.
Whoever you vote for, you can have confidence that your vote will be counted as cast.
It is easy to spread the false information and much more difficult to rein it in, especially with artificial intelligence making it easier to create fake videos that look real.
It would allow you to take a video like this of me, which looks real, or like me here in this bed, or sitting cross-legged on a yoga mat. That video was generated by a computer program.
A big part of the challenge, not only for elections officials, but voters as well, in a race that is expected to be extraordinarily close.
All right. Well, if the election is keeping you up at night because of all the stress, the worry, you know, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? You're certainly not alone.
No, more than 7 in 10 adults say the future of our country is a significant source of stress in their lives. And check this out. It's the most common source of stress in the American Psychological Association's annual survey, and almost 7 in 10, 69%, say the U.S. presidential election itself is a significant source of stress.
All right, so we don't want you to be stressed. So how can we keep our blood pressure down through all of this? Joining us to talk about that, give us some tips right now, is Dr. Jenny Embry. She is the Chief Wellness Officer at the IU School of Nursing. And Jenny, we were talking in the commercial, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. What's your advice?
So my advice is really to think about what's the emotion you're feeling, why are you feeling it, what's it coming from, and really think about taking a pause. Stop, take a deep breath, breathe again, and do that a couple of times, and that will help relax you. It'll help you lower your blood pressure, lower your heart rate, and kind of reset yourself. That's one thing that's really easy that you can do anywhere. Another technique is called the 4-box breathing. And you breathe in for 4, hold it 4, exhale for 4, and do that again several times. That again will help to reset you and kind of get you where you need to be as far as thinking clearly. Because when we're stressed, we don't make the best decisions. It's also really important for you to think about who makes me calm and how can I connect with those people, those TV, radio, social media things that really give you that feeling of support that helps you relax versus get you excited.
So you've got to have a balance, right?
You do have a balance, and where you don't always have a balance between work life and your home life, it's really picking what you're doing. So every day try to do something that's going to help you relax. You can do a vacation, but a couple weeks away is great, but every day add some breathing in. Add a walk.
So, we're told sometimes avoid the stuff that makes you stressed, right? But when we're talking about politics and the election, it's also important to be informed and learn about this stuff. So you can't necessarily turn it off. That's got to be a tough balance.
It is, but what you can remember is that the emotions that you experience are passing through. They're going by rapidly. And so you may experience that, but you don't have to live in that. So experience it and then move on. It's time, take those deep breaths, listen to music, exercise, meditate, whatever works for you, because everybody is different on what's going to work for them. And you have to figure that out for yourself, but we're always going to have stress in our life. This is extraordinarily stressful time for a lot of people. So it's really breathe it in and just let it out.
Yeah, it's taking the pause to breathe, but then also, you do get more oxygen for the brain. I mean, there's the chemistry to it as well.
Absolutely, physiological effect of taking that moment. It helps the body. Dr. Jenny Embry, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
A small Indiana city is tonight at the heart of a political debate about immigration. 2 weeks ago, the Republican candidate for lieutenant governor made unsubstantiated claims on a post on X, claiming Haitian immigrants were being dumped in Logansport. But as our 13 Investigates reporter Sierra Putman learned, his numbers appear to be greatly exaggerated.
Logansport is a modest city with a rich history of immigration. Population about 18,000. Lieutenant governor candidate Micah Beckwith is now claiming without evidence it's much larger.
It was a town of 18,000 and now it's grown to 50, 60, 70,000.
Beckwith says people on the ground tell him there could be tens of thousands of Haitian immigrants in the city. The city, county, and law enforcement leaders 13 Investigates spoke with say they do not have evidence to support that many new people.
So I'm just curious where you're getting this 20,000 number.
So I've talked to law enforcement up there, and I've also talked to citizens, and for the sake of their, they don't know that I'm doing this interview, so I'm not going to put their names on record.
We asked again for the evidence.
I'll get what I can.
The campaign never released the information. So 13 Investigates traveled to Logansport to get answers. The city estimates there could be 2,000 to 5,000 Haitian migrants, but they really just don't know.
We don't.
You don't know that?
Nope.
City officials believe most migrants are here legally via 2 federal programs. They help people from countries in turmoil and allow them to legally work in the U.S. A new Biden administration program benefits more than 500,000 people as of September. About 40% were Haitians. A similar amount of Haitians were listed as beneficiaries of the other program. The TPS, or Temporary Protected Status Program, is decades old. It helped more than 870,000 people from more than a dozen countries in 2023. This report states 1.9% of those people reported living in Indiana. That's 16,707 people across the entire state. The U.S. Census Bureau estimates Cass County gained 288 international migrants from April 2020 to July of 2023, ranking the 17th highest out of Indiana's 92 counties. Over at City Hall, the mayor's office reports over the last 3 years, traffic stops and trash debris violations are up, but not crime. Hospital annual reports show births are up about 20%, and ER and physician office visits are up 12 to nearly 14%.
And automatically, people are assuming that it is migration, But that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, that is ours as of the end of September.
Logansport schools released data from 2021 to now. Superintendent Michelle Starkey shows the number of Haitian students nearly doubled year over year.
Is that negatively impacting the other students here?
I do not think so.
Now there are 207 Haitian students enrolled out of 4,300 kids, just under 5% of the population. Those numbers do not support Beckwith's claims. So why Logansport? Some people told me they came to be close to family. For others,
this is more economics than anything else. If they're leaving home, they're looking for places where they can work.
Leonce Jean-Baptiste is with the Haitian Association of Indiana and said work opportunities are a clear draw. Logansport's largest employer, Tyson, has a pork processing facility that employs more than 2,000 people.
People are moving there for economic opportunity and have jobs.
Ball State economist Michael Hicks says the migrants supplement the workforce and boost the city and county's declining population. He worries rumors and misinformation about Haitian immigrants could hurt the Logansport economy.
If you demonize the place, if those forces work, what we've seen in previous examples are all types of residents stop moving here.
I don't think any community deserves this.
Jean-Baptiste worries about the city's new neighbors and points to how things escalated in Springfield, Ohio.
There were bomb threats, as you probably knew. School had to shut down, and people could not send their kids to school. So it creates real danger and angst among that community.
A community, he says, is looking for a better life, with a story not too different from the immigrants who came before.
So, Sierra, what did the city and the schools say about this?
Well, the mayor says he's still figuring that out, but knows translators will be on the list, and he wants the federal government to pay for them because he believes it caused this influx. The school district says it needs interpreters. Right now, they have one. They would like 7 more.
All right, Sierra Putman with 13 Investigates. Thanks so much. So, as you saw, this issue right now is part of the discussion in the race for governor. So we asked the campaigns what specifically they would do to help Logansport. First, the Democrats. The McCormick Gooden campaign sent us the statement saying that their administration would focus on helping the city with its health care needs, writing in part, the increased births at Logansport Memorial Hospital are misattributed to immigration alone. Rather than lying about the immigration situation, we should push for solutions like expanding maternal health access across the state for all Hoosiers. Donald Rainwater's campaign sent us this statement saying if corporations were using immigrant labor, they should chip in more. Corporations should be helping the local community to increase the infrastructure. This includes, but isn't limited to, helping to provide additional infrastructure for childcare, education, and housing. Republican governor candidate Mike Braun sent us this statement saying those who have entered our country illegally must be deported. If federal government programs bring legal migrants with a temporary status to our small towns, then they should provide resources and be transparent. If you'd like to read the full candidate statements, be sure to look for Sierra's story in the 13 Investigate section of WTHR.com.
Residents on Indy's west side are so frustrated. They say ongoing construction project there is getting even more dangerous.
We're talking about the bridge work that's underway on Washington Street over Little Eagle Creek. So tonight, our Samantha Johnson walks us through their main concerns.
The signs here on Washington Street clearly say road closed, but I've talked to several pedestrians and cyclists. We've even seen drivers who go through anyway. But now Indy DPW and Metro Police are weighing in.
We do ask that you keep your head up and you always pay attention.
IMPD officer Tommy Thompson trying to avoid this. Drivers crossing into construction sites where the roads and sidewalks are closed.
And that means pedestrians need to be careful because they cannot just walk through a construction area.
And this isn't the first car to end up here, according to businessmen nearby. Indy DPW responding in a statement Tuesday, saying in part, quote, "It is imperative that drivers and pedestrians choose the safest route for everyone by taking the detour route." But Chris Garvin tells me that's easier said than done.
It's not an effective detour. It's just bad, it's unsafe. You got a lot of people that can't walk through here, kids, a lot of traffic.
He rides his bike through the west side every day, and he says the marked detour isn't realistic for walkers and bikers.
There's this big stretch of this gap that the bus misses, where people have to walk and get off, or you have to go all the way back around, so it's really a danger, yeah.
The bridge, which was supposed to reopen by now, is expected to be done next summer, after project leaders say the historic 100-year-old bridge was in worse shape than they thought, which will leave this road closed well into 2025.
What do you do? What do you do in the meantime? You just keep trucking along?
Keep it moving, yep. Keep it moving. Yep, keep trying.
On the west side, Samantha Johnson, 13 News.
Thank you so much, Sam. There is a website where Indy DPW shares weekly updates on this project, and you can find that right now with a link from our website at WTHR.com.
Well, we know it's generally cheaper to buy used rather than new when you're talking about car prices, and that price gap apparently just keeps growing.
That's right. In fact, it's now hitting a record. Allison Gormley joining us live in studio, telling us what's the deal with how much people are paying for both and how much money to save if you're out there shopping right now.
Yeah, so on average, a new car is selling for more than $47,000. A used car on the flip side, right around $27,000. So the difference, about $20,000, which is much larger than the typical $15,000 that it used to be. And if you're thinking to yourself, hey, that sounds pretty high, it's because it is. I mean, that $20,000 price difference, it's hitting a lot of people. So beyond that, you know, used car prices are up more than 30% from 2019. So why are they so high? Supply and demand issues dating back to COVID.
If you have stayed out of the car market for 5 or 6 years and you try to come back, you'll be flabbergasted, right? It's going to take like a complete paradigm shift to understand what all has happened. Interest rates, incentives, these things are completely different. Used car supply, like trying to find a nice 2 or 3 year old car is so much more difficult today than it ever has been.
Now, to save money on new cars, consider buying at the end of a model year. If it's a body shape switch too, going to year 25, even better. But when it comes to both new and used cars, consider looking at your own financing options through maybe your bank or your credit union, because that can save you some money on an interest rate.
Well, regardless of the price difference, it seems like the price for all of the cars is way up.
$27,000 is the average used car price.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, I remember
My
a few years
first
ago.
car
Yes,
new
exactly.
was $4,999.
Yep.
It was a Ford Mustang stick shift.
Mine was a $5,200 full-size GMC that was 6 years old.
Yeah, it's wild.
My
I mean,
goodness.
I guess the good news is cars are lasting longer than 100,000 miles. So
Oh, that's true. That's a good
80,000
point.
miles may not be what it used to be.
That's true.
Right.
Okay. All right. Hey, as always.
Silver lining.
Thanks for saving us the money, Allison. If you like Allison's What's the Deal segments, you can catch your show streaming on WTHR Plus. Download the app now if you haven't already on Roku, Fire Stick, or Apple TV.
Tonight, a 16-year-old is charged with attempted murder after investigators say he stabbed a woman in the back of the head at a park here in Indianapolis. Now, police tonight are saying the two didn't even know each other and the attack was unprovoked. Our Chase Howell talked with a woman tonight who says her little girl saw everything.
It was here at Sandorf Park where Joanna Green was playing with her 6-year-old daughter when she says a teenager brutally attacked her with a kitchen knife. She says when he began to swing the knife at her, she pushed her daughter to safety.
Right here, where this bump is, I have staples.
Joanna Green says she left the park Sunday afternoon with blood dripping down her neck and back instead of fond memories with her daughter.
Could have been anybody.
Green says she was hanging out at the park with her little girl when she noticed a teenager with a knife taking swipes at kids playing. She says as she went to grab her daughter to leave, the teen put his focus on her.
He turned around and said, "Do you think this is funny?" And I said, "No." And he struck me the first time on the left side of the head with the knife. And then the second time he said, "Do you?" And he struck me again on the right side of my neck.
Green's 6-year-old daughter watching the attack unfold right in front of her.
She was in the back seat of the car screaming, "Shut the door, Mommy, let's go, let's go, let's go." And I told her, "We can't go, I'm bleeding too bad."
After a trip to the hospital and a few days of rest, Green now stands in the same place where she was attacked, but as a different woman. As for the teenager, he was arrested that same day a little down the street. And while he may have left Green with some bruising and a few staples, she hopes what happened will change him as much as it changed her.
I just hope he gets the help that he needs, the help that he deserves, because no matter what, he is still 16.
Green also wants other women and mothers out there to remember, no matter where you are, to always be aware of your surroundings. According to court documents, that teenager has been diagnosed with autism and ADHD, and while he was taken to the Marion County Juvenile Center, he's still being charged as an adult. Reporting here in Indianapolis, Chase Howell, 13 News.
Developing tonight, 2 men killed by Metro Police in just 2 separate shootings last year.
And now their families are suing the city for what they call the wrongful deaths of their loved ones. We've read over the new lawsuits.
And our Samantha Johnson just heard from their families, and she joins us now live in studio. So, Samantha, what did they have to say?
Yeah, they were emotional, as you might imagine, but they were very clear that right now they are calling for justice and accountability from the city and from the police department. They're asking for damages and a trial by jury. We're talking about 2 men from 2 different families who are now living a similar story.
My brother had 5 children who will never get to, see their father again.
And I just want justice for him, so no other mother won't have to feel the pain that I feel daily.
So here's what we know right now about these 2 shootings. The first one happened about a year ago. Darcel Edwards was killed near 25th and Columbia Avenue after a traffic stop. In the lawsuit, lawyers say he was shot in the back and was not a threat to officers. In fact, police say they never found a gun at that scene. The second shooting happened about a month later, where Leandre Houston was shot and killed by police after running from a traffic stop. But Houston wasn't the person police were after. He was a passenger in that car. The attorneys writing in this new lawsuit, quote, Houston was running for his life from a wrongful police shooting, showing his back to the officers, and did not put any person or officers in imminent danger, nor actively resist arrest. Now, we did reach out to IMPD today. They told me out of respect for the judicial process, they don't comment on pending litigation. Of course, we'll continue to keep an eye on this story, and you'll hear more from those families coming up tonight at 6.
All right, we'll look for your continuing coverage. Sam, thank you.
Tonight at 5:30, we're hearing from a former teacher at Broad Ripple Middle School who resigned after months of problems at that school.
And she's not the only teacher to do so. Samantha Johnson tonight is looking into it.
I pulled all the personnel reports since the start of the school year. They outline well over 100 resignations district-wide, and at least 8 of those were here at Broad Ripple Middle School. One teacher describing it to me as an unsafe learning environment.
The school year obviously did not go as expected.
We have altered this former teacher's voice to protect her identity. She says Broad Ripple Middle School has an amazing staff.
But unfortunately, the educators are, a lot of educators can't educate.
For weeks now, reports of fighting, cursing at teachers, and threats among students.
Several students scared to go to class or to even walk the hallways.
All this in a building that she says wasn't ready to open as part of the district's Rebuilding Stronger plan.
It definitely was not ready.
Doors that don't lock, faulty phones, dirty classrooms, even graffiti in some. This teacher telling us all the distractions made it nearly impossible to teach.
I don't enjoy this. I no longer want to be here. It's not worth it.
And she's not alone. Since the start of the school year, at least 8 staff members have resigned, including a dean. So we reached out to IPS again today. They told us they were not available for an on-camera interview, but shared a statement instead, saying in part, quote, Broad Ripple has implemented key initiatives, and these improvements have resulted in positive feedback from parents. In the meantime, this teacher asking all parents to talk to your kids about school.
And have this conversation every night. What are you seeing in the hallway? What are the behaviors in the classroom?
All to make sure your kids are safe.
In Broad Ripple, Samantha Johnson, 13 News.
Thank you, Samantha. And you can read the full statement that was given to us from IPS. We have it posted for you on our website right now. Also there, you'll find our ongoing coverage of this story since the beginning of the school year, documenting the issues and the responses. That's all at WTHR.com. Other news now, and it is exciting news for the West Side. Today, the city is officially breaking ground on the new Henry Street Bridge. This bridge will extend over the White River between Washington Street and Kentucky Avenue.
And it's exciting because the people in that area say this is more than just a bridge. They say this is also about bridging gaps. Our Marion County reporter Lauren Kostick today on the new chapter for the nearby neighborhood.
Work on the future Henry Street Bridge is underway, and its purpose is to do just that, connect the bustling downtown to neighborhoods here on the west side. For those in the Valley neighborhood,
yeah, we are Indianapolis' best kept secret.
A community so close, but so far from downtown.
And we are a place people only came by accident because of the lack of connectivity.
For decades, Jay Napoleon says the White River acted as a barrier to downtown, but that's now changing as construction crews move in.
It was like, you know it's coming, but when you actually see it, it does give you goosebumps.
On Wednesday, city leaders broke ground on the Henry Street Bridge. It will sit between Washington Street and Kentucky Avenue, with 60% of it dedicated to pedestrian traffic. That includes an extension of the Cultural Trail.
We didn't know what was coming next, and it's been a very long journey.
The project comes more than a decade after the GM stamping plant closed up shop, leaving thousands without a job and a community suffering. For Councilor Kristen Jones, it was a mission that became personal. She lives in the community, and her husband worked at the plant.
We've longed to have that connectivity. We have felt distant from downtown. We've felt separated from downtown.
Now a new chapter for the West Side as Elanco continues construction on a new global headquarters, and the state announcing a new expansion of the White River State Park.
It is much more than a bridge. It is much more than a bridge to us.
A pivotal connection for generations to come.
And still, the sky's the limit to what this neighborhood and what this area of downtown Indianapolis can mean for everybody.
And the total cost for this bridge is more than $40 million. It's expected to be completed in 2026. In Indianapolis, Lauren Kostick, 13 News.
On to more top news we're covering. 5 days after a devastating fire destroyed the Helping Veterans and Families building, the organization says they are committed to rebuilding and grateful for the help from the community. Marina Silva is learning how those impacted are doing and what's next.
The massive fire on Saturday night destroyed the homes of 48 people. It took 100 firefighters from around the city to put the fire out. Today, the veterans and their families are looking at the positive side of their recovery.
Continue to wake up and just be in a better place.
Alan Stewart was in his apartments when someone knocked on his door the other night, alerting him to the fire. That fire had spread throughout the building. Stewart knew he had to get out, and he had to help his friends.
Some people talk through the doors, some people open the doors. You know, just if they was there, make sure they know they needed to get out. We got some people that ain't gonna answer doors.
Alan and other veterans forced out of the fire now living at extended stay hotels across the city. The HVAF CEO says the veterans will be there for a while.
Our staff are there daily providing supportive services, especially more intensive mental health services, given the traumatic event that everyone has been through. We're working to quickly move veterans into permanent housing when they're ready so they can be out on their own.
All of this week, hundreds of Amazon packages have come into HVAF. They have set up additional pantry hours for people that have been displaced from the fire. We want to show you some of what's been sent. You can see towels, jeans, tops, even toiletries, anything that somebody who lost everything in the fire might need.
And the response has been incredible, both in terms of financial donations, but also stuff.
Hildebrand says it'll take time, but they will rebuild.
You know, we have been around in this community for 31 years, serving the most vulnerable veterans. Manchester Apartments has been a big part of that, and it will be again in the future.
Fire investigators have ruled the fire accidental, but they haven't pinpointed the exact cause. For Stewart and the other veterans, right now, they're staying positive
and hoping for a better future. Reporting in Indianapolis, Marina Silva, 13 News.
All right, Marina, and if you would like to donate, you can do it through WTHR Send the Love initiative. That's on our website. You can just go to WTHR.com. Help some folks out there.
It is a question every parent of a football player wants to know. How safe is my kid getting hit repeatedly out on the field? A landmark study by researchers at Indiana University right now is working to find that out. Our Jenny Runovich shows us tonight what they're learning.
For the millions of young athletes who play America's most popular sport,
football has pretty much been my life since 7th grade.
Love for football also comes with concern.
So I was always hearing about concussions and broken bones and anything that you can imagine that could go wrong. There you go.
We all know concussions are dangerous long term, but what about the smaller hits? Day after day, game after game, all season long. Teen players experience on average 652 subconcussive head impacts per season, hits you play through without symptoms.
So those hits seem minor and painless.
But are they over time? For the first time,
if you just keep doing things over and over again, something's going to wear down.
Researchers are studying how smaller impacts over several seasons affect brain health in high school football players and how risk can be reduced.
And kudos to the players.
IU professor Kei Kawada and his team are leading the landmark 4-year study with a $3 million grant from the National Institutes of Health. They're now in the final months.
The goal is to find out what's the effect of those repetitive hits.
Bloomington North is part of their lab, tracking the Cougars' every collision through a mouth guard with special sensors.
Yeah, so it's like a regular mouthpiece. I just pop it in during practice and games, and it sends all the information right to like a tablet that they can check out.
The head impacts actually sync in real time.
23, that's what's going on.
Offensive line.
Yeah. We know when someone is experiencing a hit and generally how much force they received in that hit. 5 Gs, nothing too crazy, right on the cheek. All right to the side of the head, 19 Gs. That's a high one. Pretty standard amount of force for a hit. For like a subconcussive hit is around 10 to 12 Gs. 6, 17, 12.
The data we surmount through this study it's no match.
Part of the reason this study is so monumental is because it's massive. It's not just Bloomington North. We're talking 4 years, 5 high schools, hundreds of student athletes.
All those athletes also give blood samples, take mental health surveys, test eye tracking, and get MRI scans of the brain, again, over years.
We're just looking for any markers of inflammation, any markers that show irregular development.
Professor Kawada is still analyzing the data, but he is sharing some early results.
In just a matter of one season, if you sustain multiple hits, actually regardless of what position it is, we've seen brain-derived blood biomarkers crippling up. It's increasing over the course of season. Some of the athletes have some inflammation that's showing to be a little bit more expanded brain.
Kawada's early data also shows anxiety and mood improve for football players, and eye focus, though impaired over the course of a season, goes back to normal when the season's done. Plus, each teen's brain and its resiliency to hits reacts differently. Diet, weight, ADHD may all play a role.
Some athletes, no matter how many times they sustain head impacts, we did not see any change in those athletes. On the other hand, there are some athletes showing heightened response.
Which means when it comes to solutions, no simple hit threshold like a pitch count in baseball. There you go. After the study's analysis is done, the IU team hopes to develop new protocols, perhaps tailor playing time or change practice drills to minimize head impact. It's all with the goal of making high school football safer.
People love this sport and the players love the sport, but it's also important to prepare yourself for a long, healthy life.
Go. And the kids in this study on the field right now are ensuring that'll happen.
By doing what I'm able to do and what I love, that it's going to help further generations.
In Bloomington, Jenny Runovich, 13 News.